This is Adam DC and welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game Network. Today's card profile is going to be Soul Release. This card's effect reads, select up to 5 cards from either you or your opponent's graveyard and remove them from the current duel. Remove them from play, banish them, same thing, it's an old card. But for the remainder of this video we're going to use this really cool alternate artwork, Soul Release, from the OCG where she is much more naked. So, the first thing that this card is going to allow you to do is control your graveyard to more easily summon the Elemental Lords and also Dad. Okay, so it's gonna, if you have too many monsters of the specific element in your grave and you want to summon one of these guys from your hand, Soul Release is going to allow you to control the amount of monsters in your grave to summon these monsters. Also, if you kind of know what your opponent is playing, you know, if they're playing Black Wings and you say, okay, they have 3 dark monsters in the graveyard, rather, you can go ahead and Soul Release, banish those just to prevent them from having the option of special summoning Dark Arm Dragon, and then it's just going to slow them down a little bit too without their monsters in grave. Another option is going to be, if you're playing against any variant of a Chaos deck, you're going to be able to banish either all of their lights or all of their darks and make it a little bit harder for them to make a play during the next turn. You know, if they don't have both the lights and the darks in their graveyard, they can't summon their bigger monsters. So you can just go ahead and play Soul Release, banish all the darks, and then these cards become dead. Another option is going to be Dragon Rulers. It actually works twofold here. If you're playing with the Dragon Rulers, you can banish these guys from your grave to get their effects if you don't have another way to banish them. Or if you're playing against the Dragon Ruler deck, then you can either banish, like, say, their last copy of Blaster so they can't search out another Blaster, or you can banish all the other cards in their grave that will allow them to summon these dragons, like, you know, Max C or Flammable Guard or whatever else they happen to have in there. You'll also be able to, if you come across an E-Hero deck, you'll be able to start banishing their E-Heroes before they can fuse with Miracle Fusion. If you're playing against somebody who happens to use Stardust Dragon, you could always use a weak destruction effect to make him negate with Stardust. It puts Stardust in grave, and then you can Soul Release to banish him so he will not come back at the end of the turn. One of the best utilities for this card is to prevent your opponent from recycling cards that can be utilized in the grave. So Love Leader can come back infinitely. He can make Quasar plays possible, Plague Spreader, Zephyros. You know, if you don't want him to use these cards a second time, you just banish them from the grave, take them out of the duel. I really hate this one myself, but Grapha, you banish the Grapha in a Dark World deck, maybe they have all 3 in grave, that's going to generate an instant win for you. Another option that you can also use is if you're playing the Lightsworn deck, you know, start taking out their monsters so they can't get Judgment Dragon on board. And then when you're dealing with monsters that gain attack based on the amount of monsters in the grave, Colossal Fighter for every warrior gains 100, or Blue Eyes Shining Dragon gets 300 for every dragon in the grave. You can start to banish those specific monsters to decrease these guys' attacks. Or if you happen to be playing a deck that relies on monsters that gain attack by banished monsters, like Grand Mahu Daiza, you can just banish more monsters and it's going to knock his attack up some too. That's it for Soul Release. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.